Going to go back to sport now on the programme. I have a look at what's happening in the French papers, starting with sports news. A big weekend, wasn't it, Alison, for sporting news here in France. We're going to start off celebrating the women's handball team. Beat Norway last night to become the world champions.
That's right, Stuart. You can see those ladies celebrating on the front page of L'Équipe today. That paper says, Deuxième étoile, second star, because it's the second time the team has won the world championship in handball, so they'll get to add a second gold star to their jerseys, as is tradition in much of the sporting world. That victory was made even sweeter for them because Norway had been the world champion title holder, so they beat them, and their exploit has earned the French team a new nickname, actually. According to L'Équipe, they will now be known as the Battantes, the Fighters. So it's been a big year for French handball. Overall, the men's team, which is known as Les Experts, the experts, they all have nicknames here in France. Well, they won the world championship earlier this year, and now it's the first time that both teams have held the championship at the same time. The Figaro says that we are now living in the golden age of French handball.
Such a big thing as well, handball here in France, isn't it? Lots of other countries as well. Quite an exploit then from the women's handball team. Another big exploit from a French athlete over the weekend. This is the French sailor, isn't it, FrancoisGaba, pulverising the world record for making a solo around-the-world voyage.
That's right. He's earned himself a few nicknames too, a couple papers calling him the Prince of the Ocean today. Now, he beat the previous record by more than 6 days, which is huge. So L'Équipe says with this latest race, he succeeded in shrinking the world, actually, by reducing the time it takes to go around it. And he's only 34, so really, really young, pulverized the record, and he's modest about it. The Huffington Post reports that he attributes his success to luck and good weather.
Well done to him, too. Let's move on to another Frenchman pulling off a big victory for his age, the French President Emmanuel Macron, earlier this year, of course. Papers are reacting to an interview that he gave and aired last night on French television.
That's right, Stuart, a pretty non-traditional interview. I don't know if you saw it, but you have Emmanuel Macron and his interviewer kind of taking a slow stroll through the Élysée Palace. Yeah, wandering very slowly through the Élysée Palace. It was filmed last week during the Paris Climate Summit. The Huffington Post says it revolutionized the style of presidential interviews. And they say that Macron was way more at ease this time than during his last televised interview in October. That's because they say he has been rising in opinion polls for the last 2 months. The big criticism, though, that the Huffington Post gives is that while the style may have been revolutionary, he didn't actually say anything very revolutionary. Papers still found enough to fill the headlines, though. French radio station Europe 1 is talking about one of the most memorable declarations Macron made yesterday. He said that the war in Syria will be over by the end of February this coming year.
And in fact, the war in Syria has been one of the major factors contributing to the rise in refugees and migrants across the globe. And as we mentioned in the news today, it is International Migrants Day. Papers in France here marking that occasion.
In honor of International Migrants Day, the left-wing paper Libération was calling out the French government for their migrant policy on their front page today. It's actually a really incredible picture there. You see a snowy mountainside in the Alps, and if you look towards the bottom of the page, you see a line of migrants actually crossing through the snow there. And the headline Libération has on this page today is the Summit of Shame. The government is set to unveil a migrant law early next year, and it has nonprofits very worried, according to Libération. The paper says Macron's government has already been tightening the screws on migrants and refugees, increasing expulsions, confiscating blankets in camps, and using tear gas. So police have really been making the lives of migrants in France miserable, according to Libération. And they cite one aid worker who says that if under the previous government things were bad, well, what's happening now is actually torture. This analysis is backed up by the communist paper Humanité today. They say the new law will make it harder for migrants to find refuge here in France. And on the front page, they talk about the government's disgraceful hunting of refugees.
Going to end on a more positive note. The papers are continuing to follow the incredible story of a homeless man. He stumbled across €300,000, as you do, at Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris, didn't he?
Right, the story came out last week in Le Parisien, so some of you may have already gotten wind of it a little bit. The entire thing was caught on security cameras. This man was looking through garbage cans when he accidentally opened the door to an office that had been left unlocked. Well, that office belonged to a company that handles cash deliveries, and the man found 2 bags full of money, €300,000 in total. Wow. He did what many people might do, Stuart, which is he took those bags. Le Parisien follows up today on this story. They report that, days later, the police still haven't tracked this man down. The paper says he seems to have vanished into thin air.
What a surprise. Would you do the same?
I should say no, but if I were homeless, I certainly would. So.
Lost for words. Thank you very much, Alison. Alison Sargent with the French papers here on France 24. Very latest news with you a couple of minutes' time. Don't go away.